Hello, everyone, and welcome to our webinar today. We're going to talk about Esade's Executive MBA program and the career paths it can lead to. My name is Nelly, and I'll be the moderator on behalf of the UniMy team, and I'm here with two very special guests. First, I want to present Judith Puigbo, Associate Director at Admissions at Esade. I also want to welcome Kelly Peterson, Esade graduate class of 2019. Before giving the word to our speakers, I want to welcome everyone and tell you that you can ask questions anytime during the webinar, just using the chat box. You'll take time to answer at the end of the session. So enjoy, everyone. And Judith, I'm giving the word to you.
Yeah, perfect, amazing. Well, thank you very much, Nelly, especially because you pronounce my surname perfectly as a pure Catalan. So good for you. And yes, I'm very excited to be here in this webinar organized by UniMy. So thank you very much for organizing this. The idea today is to sort of present you our Executive MBA. I'm one of the associate directors of admissions. We are a big team of 15 people divided all over the world. I personally am in charge of Switzerland, Middle East, and Central Asia, but we are a big team. But I would say here the main advantage that we have today is that we have here Kelly, because of course I work at Esade, right? I have to say how wonderful we are, so I might be a bit biased. My level of credibility is a bit low. So I'm super happy to have here Kelly. She just graduated with a pandemic in the middle, right, a couple of years ago. So of course her personal experience will add a lot of value to this presentation. So please don't be shy. I know that you cannot turn on the camera, but you have the chat box. Feel free to post your questions. If it's related to the presentation, we can answer them on time. If not, don't worry. At the end of the presentation, we will go through the chat and answer all your questions. Okay. So Nelly, next slide, please. Perfect. So next one. If you this sort of like the presentation. So before starting talking about the program, just brief info about Esade Business School. We are a business school founded in Barcelona. We also have a campus in Madrid. We have more than 10,000 students per year now on campus, almost half of them international, because we have, you see more than 90 nationalities. So we have a bachelor's, master's, MBAs, law school, PhD, so it's a big institution. So we have also the triple accreditation. I know that for those of you here in the audience that are engineers, usually this kind of quality standards is relevant for you. So we were one of the few schools that we have the triple accreditation. Next. And here I would like to add Kelly in the conversation, because I think it's very difficult sometimes to explain the DNA of the school just reading a brochure or the website. And I'm sure that here, Kelly, I would like, when we say collaborative spirit, I mean, it's very easy to put in a PowerPoint whatever you want, right? So why don't you share, Kelly, with us a little bit, really, how can you feel this collaborative spirit in the school?
Yeah, thanks, Judith. Hi, everybody. Thanks for joining us today. In terms of collaborative spirit, I'm happy to try to bring it to life a little bit more through my experience. I think one of the nice things that Esade does and every business school has its own kind of methodology, I think, in terms of how it teaches classes. But the way that Esade had looked at it when I was a MBA student was a lot of the time they taught the topics through both use cases and business school cases, but also through just theory and content. And I think that combination was, for me, really powerful, because some of the other business schools that I spent time studying at or having kind of opportunities to go abroad and study at were very heavy just on, business cases or just on theory. And I think kind of bringing those two together allow for like a really nice balance. And I think what the school does as part of bringing both of those two areas to life is it really forces you to work closely in teams. So a lot of the classes would actually divide us up, and we would work with other students. The student body of my class, I think, was 42 students to start with. And every single month we came down to the school from all different countries around the world, and we would all spend a lot of time in different breakout sessions, working in teams, working through cases or working through different exercises around the theory and the content. And then when we went back to our respective countries, we would also continue to do that in group work. So a lot, again, was individual work, but a lot was also group work. And then combined with kind of this business, these business case studies plus theory, I think it brought it to life in a really nice way. I also would say that the ability to be connected with some of the other business schools around the world, to go and spend time there, create like a much more collaborative nature across the globe with other executive MBA programs or MBA programs that I think bring another level of kind of collaboration with other kind of partner schools in different cultures and countries around the world.
Perfect. Kelly, I don't know, it's only me, but suddenly your camera turned off. I don't see you. I don't know, Nelly, maybe it's only my screen, but for some reason, yeah, now you came back. Okay, great. So, yeah, also, I mean, I remember there was a lot of teamwork, and one of the assets, later on, we will check the class profile, and one of the assets you started already mentioning the number of nationalities in the class. But for example, explain the audience, how were you managing to do team assignments when you're in different countries, even sometimes with different time schedules? How could you manage that?
I wouldn't say there's an exact kind of mathematical calculation to be able to do this perfectly. I think sometimes it's a little bit messy and crazy, but I think that also aligns to kind of, business. I think there's a lot of, messiness in business, a lot of, even in your personal life, you're trying to balance maybe family or friends or a husband or wife or children or, traveling and all of these things. So I think it kind of puts you in a position to, manage through, challenging moments in both the classroom, but then that allows you to be able to actually do that in real life as you become more of a senior level executive within your organization. So I think, they're bringing kind of these examples in business school to life, which you'll probably, have to deal with as you get more senior. And I think that's really nice. I think what also worked really well was when you were in class, you're spending, physical time with people. So you're working through these projects, they're giving you time in class, or you're getting to school maybe a few hours earlier and you're kind of working through a final presentation, but you're also able to take that home. And we did a lot of calls, over Zoom or over WhatsApp or what have you, to work in different groups. And I think the nice thing about it was it split you up in a group of 3 or a group of 5. There might be times where, certain people have certain roles within the team, and maybe some people sometimes do a bit more work than others, or vice versa. But again, these are all really, I think, important kind of learnings or way to deal with and balance different personalities, different workloads of different people, and different ways to kind of get things done. So I think it actually really brings out live kind of experiences in the classroom that will be very much applied and brought to life in the workplace.
Perfect. Great, Kelly. Yeah, also something I would like to mention that our grades, there's other schools that they have the bell gauss, and if you do great, but 90% do better than you, you fail. Here, your scores depend only on you. And I think that this collaborative spirit also is thanks to this, not having this competition against your classmates, because at the end, 50% you will learn through professors, but 50% or even more, you will learn through your classmates. So that's why for us, this collaboration, it's very relevant. So when we are proud of our diversity in a competitive world, why do you need that diversity? So I think it only makes sense with this collaborative spirit. So I know we were dedicating much time to this presentation, but I think for me, this was relevant because I work at Esade, but I also studied my master in marketing at Esade many years ago. So for me, this collaborative spirit was one of the main assets. Nelly, next page. Yeah, please go ahead.
I was just going to say one last thing on it, actually, that I think is super important that I forgot. The collaborative aspect, I think, is not just working with the individual classmates in the classroom or back in your respective countries, but because there are so many different people from different places around the globe. I think we had, I don't know, 42 students from like 38 countries or 40 countries. It was really, really, really diverse, that you're not just actually learning the business case or the content that you're taught. You're actually learning how to interact with people from different backgrounds with different perspectives. And that can be an immense challenge, but also immensely gratifying at the same time. So you're actually learning through just behaving with people and spending time with people, in addition to the content, in addition to presenting topics, for example.
Yeah. Nelly, next page. So we have campuses, as I mentioned before, Barcelona and Madrid. Our main campus is in Barcelona, where we have also bachelor's, master of science, law school is only Barcelona. Executive education, we have both in Madrid and Barcelona, which I think it's nice, because then the executive MBA, more modules will happen in Barcelona campus, but sometimes we're in Madrid campus as well. So I think also that's one of the assets. I'm from Barcelona, but Madrid has a lot of nightlife. It's an amazing city as well. So you would really enjoy those modules that you are in Madrid as well, right, Kelly? Your preference was Madrid or Barcelona?
I think Barcelona has a very special place in my heart. However, I also really love Madrid, because I think it's very core to the Spanish culture in a very different way that the Catalan culture is. But Barcelona is a very international city. So for me, they're both quite different. But
this is really like asking which is your favorite mom or dad. It's exactly the same, right? But in any case, you're lucky that you will be in both cities.
Your camera's off, Judith. Now you're back. No. Yeah.
Okay, it happens the same to you sometimes. I don't know. I'm not touching anything, I promise, but I'll try.
Same for me.
Okay, I'll try not to move, I promise, because I'm very Latin, so when I speak, I move a lot. Sorry for that.
You're back now, so you're good.
Okay, great. So Nelly, next slide, please. Okay, so we were talking about diversity. We have more than 70,000 alumni all over the world in more than 115 countries. We have 72 international chapters and 20 different clubs. So your relation with the school is not only during your 20 months during the Executive MBA, your relation with the school is afterwards through all this international alumni network, which is a very powerful network. For example, Kelly, you're based in London. I know that the chapter there is quite active. So I'm sure you have some nice events during the year, right, Kelly?
Yeah, I actually sit on the board of the Esade Alumni Association.
Oh, I was not aware.
Yeah, and we have, I think there's over like 1,100 alumni potentially in the United Kingdom, but in London we have hundreds of people on our WhatsApp group, and we're running content events and social events and networking events and events with the Chamber of Commerce of Spain and all of these sorts of things. It's really nice to connect with people.
But other, for example, just to put some examples, some other very interactive chapters are in Munich, Frankfurt, Zurich, Dubai, Miami. In Latin America, we have also in Peru, Mexico, Brazil. But I don't want to miss in Asia, Singapore. I don't want to miss any important chapter. They will be mad at me, but we have 72 international chapters. So you have a very strong network after your MBA. So next slide. Okay, now, let's start about talking about the Executive MBA. So I will not go through all the details. All of you will be resending the recording with all the slides. But in terms of rankings, let me tell you that we are usually in the top 10 European schools, top 25 worldwide schools. But if there's one that I feel super proud is last year we were number 2 in the QS ranking for diversity. This is something that we were mentioning. It's very important for our DNA, this diversity that you will find in the classroom. But also we have very high rankings in entrepreneurship, in educational experience, and employer reputation. I mean, the ranking world, there's many rankings for many programs and so on, but at least you have a slight idea which are the strengths of the school. Diversity, entrepreneurship, educational experiences would be some of the main assets. Perfect. Next. Okay, let's start with the program. So, well, we were talking already before the diversity. It's not only your profile, diversity is only in terms of methodology. Kelly already started telling a little bit that it's not only theory, it's not only case studies. The idea is to have very different approaches. Now we even have escape room. I think that was after, I don't know if you had the escape room in the leadership course. That's something quite new. So even a new methodology is doing escape room, which is very nice because then we show their leadership. So when you are like super stressed solving all these escape room activities, you see, on a natural way, you see how the team reacts. So you see different styles of leadership. So the idea here that simulation, like remember the game simulation, there was even people a bit fighting between teams. So the idea here is that it's not only case studies, it's not only theory, it's more than that. The days are very long. It's from 8:30 in the morning to 7:30 p.m. I even remember a girl from Norway asked me, "Oh, is that legal?" And I was like, "Oh, in Spain, I think yes." So days are very long. But Kelly, isn't it true that it goes so fast? In fact, at 7:30 when we were finishing, you will still in class half an hour asking things to professor. So, well, anything else you want to add here in this slide, Kelly?
Yeah, I think the days, I think working full time and flying to a different country, it's, and being in class long hours, it's definitely long, and you definitely need to be committed, and kind of have the mindset, I guess, to be able to really get stuck into the class and to spend time. But I think it does go by fast. You have a long period during lunch to kind of take a bit of a break with everybody, and the food is really good. And then you have a number of different breaks prior to lunch and after lunch as well, that just give you a little bit of headspace, or if you need to walk out of the class and send an email or something because you're working, there's flexibility there. And I really enjoyed, sometimes it feels a bit long, but I for me, going down and spending time, and even after class, everybody goes out in the evenings and has dinners together, and really makes the most of the 3 or 4 days, or depending on the style of program, maybe a few more days. And for me, it was always a really special time, that one time a month, to be able to go down there and learn and get in the classroom and get to see everybody with the same class every month. So you really get to forge really incredible relationships, and also, see a lot of people that are super happy. Other people are really stressed out with their jobs, and all of these sorts of things that kind of make you closer. And I think it, again, it really replicates the way in which the business world is operating, right? And I think all of that brought together is really great. Yeah.
Yeah, true. Great. Next slide then. Okay, so the program is divided in 4 terms. First term is awareness. It will be like sort of more generic. Then we go to build and connect. So then we go like to more specific and more strategic topics. And the last part is decide, we would call decide, because you have a huge number of electives. Now we have 50. In your period, I think it was less, but now we have more because we made joint electives with the MBA full-time as well. So the idea is that the first 3 parts will be fixed. You are not able to choose. We have to go through all the different areas of the organizations, right? But good news, when your level of energy starts to go down, you then end with these electives. And there is where you can sort of tailor make more the experience, because it's true that this is an MBA, so we need to have the big picture, but it's not the same needs. Someone who wants to become CFO, CMO, or has someone who wants to start their own business. So I think that it's very interesting that you can tailor make the focus of the MBA through the electives. Also, because remember when I explained you at the very beginning that we have this triple accreditation, and those of you that are engineers and process oriented, you were super happy, right? Okay, but if you want to change the academic content, it's quite difficult. So that's why all these hot topics are always in the electives. NFT, blockchain, which Kelly is a super expert on blockchain. All these hot topics, it's something that we can change the content on a yearly basis through the elective. So all these hot topics will be in this last part of the program. Next slide. Okay, so again, as I told you at the beginning, I will share this with all of you. There's plenty of information in the website. In fact, in the website, if you click in each course, you will have the syllabus with all the information. But Kelly, I was wondering, why don't you share with us what it was your favorite course and which one you didn't like so much? I won't tell the professor the one you don't like, don't worry.
Gosh, you're putting me on the spot.
Or not the favorite, but one of the favorite, or maybe the one that was more useful for you.
I think one of the most one of the most interesting and challenging courses that I really enjoyed was this strategic business simulation class. And basically, what it brought together groups of they split us up into groups basically, and we were put into different rooms within Esade, and basically they gave us kind of like a real live like business situation that we had to make decisions in real time. And every single decision that you made changed the potential outcome of the underlying business result. And it was interesting to see like everybody within the group had a different role. So there was a CEO, there was a chief operating officer, there was a head of research, everybody had different kind of roles they were playing. And the head of research would get the research documentation each round and try to pull out really interesting tidbits on what might inform the next decision. The head of operations was looking at some of, the areas around cost utilization and how to kind of optimize costs. And we had to all bring our ideas together each round under a very short time frame to make a decision. And we actually had to input specific numbers into a computer, and it would kind of calculate, and then it would change the course, and it would show either we were profitable or we were not profitable. And we did this for hours, and it was something that was very interesting to see how people act and react, but also how to make decisions relatively quickly and then change the course of action to try to kind of, get the result that you were hoping for. And for me, that was a class that I really enjoyed. It was really interesting.
Great. I know that usually people, especially when it's not your functional area, they are more scared with finance.
Yeah.
Why don't you explain us? Yeah.
I'm the same. I wouldn't say I'm the savviest person when it comes to finance though, but we had a course on, I think, financial analysis, corporate finance and financial markets. And I would say that all of the classes and all of the teachers, I think, were not only expert in their fields, but were able to articulate and inform, I think, the class in a way that made people get more comfortable. And I think throughout each of those courses, and we had M&A as well, actually. And throughout all of those courses, basically, the teachers spent a lot of time outside of the classroom with the students as much as they needed. And what we actually also did was we did a lot of group work as part of those classes. So it actually, I think, helped for some people that maybe are a little bit, not as comfortable or a little bit more, uncertain, having kind of group work and working through some of that as a team. You're learning one firsthand, and you're learning on the spot, and you're working through problems, and the teachers were there to kind of guide you along the way. So even like the course where we had M&A, and we had to kind of do a study on, one company acquiring another company, and actually kind of going through and put together the presentation as to why the acquisition made sense and why it potentially didn't make sense. That was really interesting. You learn, about how to think through a potential merger or acquisition and the reasons behind it. But the teacher really worked with us to kind of understand the way to think about that, and kind of the financial analysis that might go into that to understand the potential, the potential outcome of the deal. So I think I felt really like I got like my hand held a little bit through those classes. I still wouldn't say I'm an expert, but I think they're really foundational classes to give you enough broad business sense to feel comfortable in a business setting when it comes to a discussion around that topic. You're not going to probably be an expert. It's an MBA, but it's going to give you more confidence, I think, to be able to have those discussions internally at a high level. And I think that's kind of the purpose here.
Perfect. Also, main question always that I receive, and I'm sure that I'm saving someone already to write it in the chat, is how do professors evaluate Usually it's a mix of active participation in the classroom, team assignments, there's some exams. So what can you explain to the audience?
Yeah, I think all of those, I think every professor brought would explain their exact evaluation process within their class materials. But yeah, it was a combination of group work, individual work, class participation, and we also some classes did have like exams. I would say not many. Some teachers like to kind of test certain pieces of the theory, but I would also say that a lot of it was active participation and presentations. But you wouldn't ever really be put on the spot to do big, extensive presentations alone. Again, everything was based around group work. So there were points in time where I would present on behalf of the whole group and nobody else would present, or there were times where we all would present a different part of the presentation as a team. And I think a lot of people are uncomfortable with maybe public speaking skills, and that's okay. But as you move through the course, you get to know your 40 students or 50 students or 30 students really well. So people become a bit more comfortable. But on top of that, you start doing it so much that it almost is something that you just get on with. And it really becomes something a little bit easier over time, I would say.
Perfect. Great. Thank you. Nelly, next question then. Next slide.
Yes, you have it.
Sorry. Well, this is a bit more about all the courses. I will not go through all of them, but just let me share that something also that I think is one of the cherry on top of the cake is the study tours. So we have Berlin or Tel Aviv is one of the study tours that we have. It's compulsory. Then we have two optional study tours, and one was always in China. Of course, due to the COVID restrictions this year, we have been going to Singapore. Next year, we will see, depending on how the situation evolves. As soon as we can go back to China, normally the idea is to go back to China, but I know that people this year were super happy also with Singapore study tour. And there's another optional one in Boston. Kelly, something you want to mention regarding study tours?
Yeah, I mean, my experience, I can say I studied in China, in Shanghai. I studied in Brazil, both in Rio and Sao Paulo. I studied at the University of Tel Aviv. And then I also took a couple classes at Warwick University in the UK because I live in London.
I will explain that later.
So I think there were opportunities. One, there were mandatory kind of international programs that you had to take part in. And then there were some that were just elective opportunities to study. And I guess zooming out, having that ability to go and to immerse yourself in a different country with your classmates and be embedded amongst possibly other students within these jurisdictions or these countries is really powerful, I think. So you're not just kind of diving deep into a specific country, but you're getting to know, how they do business potentially in a different culture, different market. And you're surrounded by, potentially local teachers, potentially local students, also your own classmates, and you're getting a real feel for, different experiences as well within the city or within the area that you are. So for me, they're super special. I have some of my fondest memories, like being on these study tours, and I still have, I think, friends from some of those schools that I met when I studied over there. And now even in my typical business conversations with people that I know, I look after the Israeli market for my company, for example. So even just a very simple, easy way to start talking to a CEO of a company is to say, that I actually spent a little bit of time in Tel Aviv. I studied at Tel Aviv University, and because it's a smaller country and a smaller city, they all automatically, it adds a little bit of something extra, like when you say these things to when you're doing business in these countries. And I think that's super powerful. It goes a long way.
Yeah. Something I would also like to mention from this slide is that you have a final business project. So the difference between Esade and other business schools, that others, they have like a final thesis when you finish your executive MBA. Here, as we mentioned at the beginning, our methodology is more hands-on. So instead of doing a final thesis, you will have to do your final business project, which can be on an individual basis, but we strongly recommend you to do that on a team basis, because of course you might be super expert in finance, someone else is expert in marketing, in operations, and so on. And also every year there's 1 or 2 or 3 projects that from just a paper they go to real life as well. In your case, Kelly, the final business project was related to your job. It was your idea, someone else's. You do that on a team basis.
Yeah, I was thinking about starting my own company basically, and I was looking at setting up a company around kind of supporting US expats overseas when it comes to like basically financial advisory and kind of tax advisory and these sorts of things, because being an American citizen is always a little bit different when you're outside the country. And I felt there was a gap in the market. So I worked on, creating potentially like my own company, and I came up with a business model and the branding and the marketing and kind of, you know, the way in which we would operationalize it. And I built kind of a proof of concept of the design. So yeah, you kind of you can take it however way you want. A lot of students came up with their own potential new business and wanted to maybe move into being an entrepreneur by the end of the MBA, but others knew that they always wanted to stay maybe at a large corporation, and they used the opportunity of this project to change, you know, maybe how something was operating at their own at the company they currently worked for.
Yeah, exactly. I forgot to mention that it can be an entrepreneurship project or intrapreneurship project. In fact, we always say that we have this entrepreneurial spirit, but that doesn't mean that you need to have your own startup. You can be very entrepreneurial in a big corporation. So intrapreneurship is sometimes also the how they develop this. And also, I forgot to mention that rest of the year, the teams, it's Esade providing the team. Because of course you would like to go with those more similar to you, but our purpose is totally the opposite. But here in the business project, it's the only moment where, yes, you can choose your team. In any case, Nelly, let's go to next slide. Perfect. Then electives abroad. Yeah, when Kelly was mentioning some of the study tours, as she mentioned, some were compulsory, but some are just other opportunities. So regarding the electives, remember that's the last part of the Executive MBA. We also have, I call it mini exchange programs. So you can do some electives abroad. We have all these schools in United States, UK, Denmark. Well, yeah, it's both slides are exactly the same. One is in the map and the other is the list. So I will not go through all of them, but as you can see, they are a little bit all over the place. We have alliance with 14 different business schools. But even if you stay in Barcelona doing the electives with us, we are receiving students from these 14 different universities or business schools. So your network is even more diverse. Of course, your super strong family will be your 30, 40 classmates from the Executive MBA, but still is a very nice opportunity to expand your network. And as Kelly mentioned, in fact, I think you still have some friends from your week in Tel Aviv. So it's an amazing opportunity to have even a stronger and more global network. I really encourage all of you to at least take 1 or 2 electives abroad, because I think it's an amazing experience. So yeah, let's go through next slide. And next, because these were both related. Then let's go through the format. Yeah, next slide. So we have the Executive MBA, we have it purely in English or bilingual Spanish-English. Regarding the English, we have either the monthly format or the new hybrid. The monthly format is the program that Kelly did. So you would be traveling 3 days once per month. So Thursday, Friday, Saturday, those 3 days are, as I mentioned before, very intense. We start 8:30 in the morning and we finish 7:30 in the evening. We have a 5-hour session in the morning with one professor, 5 hours after this lunch break in the evening. So your brain sort of relaxes, always with coffee break mid-morning, mid-evening, with a lot of sugar and a lot of caffeine to follow the classes. But this monthly format, so it's those 3 days, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, 3 days, once per month during 20 months. What happened? The pandemic came, and of course, this hybrid model was something already demanded before the pandemic, but we were a little bit reluctant because we like to have you on campus. But of course, after the pandemic, we discovered how convenient is sometimes having this combining also on campus with online sessions. Purely online, I think it's something that we probably will never offer because network is so important for us. But the hybrid, it's the best of both worlds. So instead of coming 3 days once per month, you would come 6 days once every 4 months. So I would say those of you that are not based in Europe, probably this would be more convenient. Or if you have babies or any other commitments, or you already travel a lot for your job for whatever reason, coming 3 days once per month is challenging. We launched just this month, 2 weeks ago, we started the first edition of the hybrid Executive MBA. So then 3 weeks will be in Barcelona, 1 week will be in Madrid, and one is a compulsory study tour, either Berlin, Tel Aviv. So that's a compulsory. On top of that, electives abroad, optional study tours in Boston or in China. But minimum, we have to calculate these 5 complete weeks, but once every 4 months. So still very compatible with your jobs. And then Friday evening or Saturday morning, you will have a 3-hour session online, but synchronous. So as if you was in the classroom in real time. So yeah, Kelly was doing the monthly. That was the only option. But honestly speaking, Kelly, you're from the US, but at that moment you was based in London. So London, Barcelona, or London, Madrid is a 2-hour flight. You have very low cost option. So still monthly would have been probably your choice, right? But for those of you that you are not based in Europe, or you have babies, or you have very challenging professional commitments, at least you know that now we have both options. The idea is to do some joint events. So some of the times the idea is to have on campus same time, the monthly and the hybrid format, so you can still network each other. Kelly was mentioning that her years, they were 42 in the classroom. Now soon we will check class profile. So now we have like 34 in the monthly, 32 in the hybrid. So of course the group as a group is much bigger, because people that before say, oh, on a monthly basis, no way, I cannot make it, now they have this option. But then each class is a little bit smaller. But as I mentioned, we will have many joint network events, so they get to know each other. And then the bilingual, we say bilingual, so it would be Spanish, but still English is always compulsory, because many reading, study tours, electives are in English. So more or less, we will say 75% would be in Spanish, 25% in English. And here we have either the weekly format in Barcelona, so Friday evening, Saturday morning, so super compatible with your job, but you need to be based in Barcelona. If not, on a weekly basis, I think it will be very challenging if you're not based here. And also the monthly format is also offered in Spanish, thinking more in the Spanish market or for Latin America. So these 4 are the 4 formats that we have. Next slide then. Well, the hybrid, as I told you, is you have this in total these 5 compulsory weeks every 4 months, more or less. Here you see the timing, but that is for this format. I should update the numbers, because now we are already targeting admissions for November 23, because this year we just started 2 weeks ago. So, but yeah, here you see a bit the schedule. Next then. Class profile. So I just put here the monthly format, because I don't want to put the class profile of the 4 different groups. I think it would be a bit boring. In any case, they're quite similar. So last EMBA monthly that we started 2 weeks ago, as I mentioned, we had 34 participants. Average age is 35. Sometimes it's 36, but it's always something between 35, 36, the average age. We require minimum 5 years working experience, but it's quite strange, lower than 7. It's quite unusual. In average, people will come with 12 years working experience. In total, we had more than 400 years of working experience. That's why we were mentioning it's so relevant, this collaborative spirit, because if we have 400 years of working experience in that classroom, of course, you as a class, you know more than any professor in the world. and very proud of this number, 44% women. I know it's not 50%, that is our target, I promise, but getting closer and closer. So quite happy. And Kelly, your class, remember, it was quite similar. It was 42, but average age and female participation and so on, I remember was quite similar, right?
Yeah, I think it was all about this, very similar. I think the women,
Yeah.
I think the percentage was higher, wasn't it, Judith? I thought our
No,
year was our first
no,
year that
it was 40, but it was the first year that we had more than 40%. It was
that
like
was it.
42. I think it was 42%
Yeah,
female,
it
but
was
it
the
was first time we were over 40. So
that was
that's why
right.
we were so happy.
That was right. Yeah, that feels about right. I think we had some students that were, you know, on the younger side that were super articulate and like really fit in completely well, and it made sense for them to be there. And then we had some folks that were in their like late 40s, maybe even early 50s that were CEOs of companies. So I think like, you know, these are the right metrics. And I think like it was quite, diverse end to end.
Yeah, in fact, when we talk about diversity in rankings, remember I showed you I was so proud of that ranking QS. In fact, that ranking only measures gender and nationality. But for me, for us, for Esade, diversity is also age. So of course, young people will be more digital. Senior people will have more experience, so they made more mistakes, so we can learn from their mistakes. Diversity is also your background, your bachelor, your functional area, your industry, your religion, your sexual orientation. We were one of the first business schools with LGTB student class. So yes, I mean, diversity is also in terms of ages, but at least that you have an approx idea. I mean, most of the people will be between 7 and 15 years working experience. That will be like 80% of the class will be something between 7 and 15 years working experience. But younger profiles are more than welcome, because some of them, some people in 5 years have done more than others in 20. And senior profiles, the only issue there is that we have to settle expectations and understand their motivations. But yeah, also, of course, more than welcome. Next slide. This year we had 24 nationalities. 55% were expats, meaning that many people is from one country but living in another. So imagine how open-minded the group is. It's true that here, as an example, we have the nationalities from this year. Of course, this is something that will change from one year to another. And of course, if we would put together the class profile with the hybrid, which I didn't do because it's two different classes, but if I put them together, then we would have 40 nationalities. So in any case, very, very diverse, very international. Next slide. Academic background, I mean, most of the executive MBAs, typically 1/3 more or less will come with some kind of engineering background, and the other third with some kind of management background. When I have someone that says, oh, I'm a bit afraid because I'm not a typical profile, I studied, I don't know, journalism or law, or I'm a doctor in medicine, so we have different profiles. I always say, please don't worry. That's not a weakness, it's a strength, because for us, diversity is important also in terms of background. The other day, for example, I was meeting a doctor in medicine. He was in cancer research, and when he was asking me some questions, instead of bullet points, he was doing like a creative map with like clouds, like something super creative. I mean, people from healthcare, they have different scientific backgrounds, they have different problem solving mentality. People with other backgrounds like journalism, law, so humanities in general, also they have better communication skills. So the more diverse is the background, the best. But of course, in an MBA, typically 1/3 will be engineers, 1/3 business and management or economics. But if you are not in this typical prototype, please don't get scared. You're also more than welcome. What is your background, Kelly? You was not the typical executive MBA. Maybe you want to shortly, I know it's too late maybe now, but yeah, you didn't introduce yourself, I was thinking.
That's okay. Yeah, so my background, my name's Kelly Peterson, and my background is I started off my career I worked at a number of different investment banks, financial institutions, but I came from more of a marketing and communications background. So I was sitting kind of at like the kind of cross line of business or corporate level of investment banks or large other types of banking institutions, working in marketing or in sales or in communications. So I had a lot of exposure, to a lot of the different areas of a bank, but I kind of wanted to, be a little bit more connected to the revenue generating side of the business, not really be more support. And I was kind of feeling a little bit on the marketing side that it wasn't really my passion. And I was trying to find ways to maybe, become excited again about, business and kind of be able to just like broaden out my horizons across like an entire organization and understand more of operations and sales and marketing and, different kind of the whole, gamut, I guess, end to end, to be able to make myself more marketable and feel more confident to maybe kind of shift my career a little bit. So I ended up moving out of the banking world into building startups. I ended up taking on roles where I was like a chief marketing officer or head of sales or head of business development at a few different startups, which were much more focused on fintech and kind of innovating in the banking and financial services space. And specifically within fintech, it was really focused around like cryptocurrency and thinking about how digital assets might change the way we behave in terms of, how we transact or payments, or providing more economic freedom to emerging markets and using digital assets and the underlying blockchain technology to be able to facilitate that. So yeah, I was building a few startups, and then I moved back into like a very large, now publicly traded crypto company called Coinbase. So yeah, and during that time when I was building startups, I got the MBA. So it gave me a lot more knowledge and confidence to help these startups I was building find success. And now, yeah, I'm at a larger crypto firm among taking some risks and giving myself some extra confidence with the MBA. Yeah.
Great, amazing. Nelly, let's go for next slide. Functional areas. Of course, if more engineers we have in the class, more will be in operations and marketing, but also you can see almost 20% have already some general management position, and consulting and finance also almost another 20%. Next slide. Because and these are some industries, but this is something that can change from one year to another. But in general, like very different industries, we don't have any specific focus on any specific industry. Next. Okay, yeah, career impact. I mean, I know this is one of the main questions that you have. So we have every sort of 2 years, we do some statistics to understand what happened with those students. So around 75% they change their careers during the MBA or 1 or 2 years after. After that, we sort of a bit lose path. And among those, 50% were doing a change during the Executive MBA, which I personally don't recommend. I would suggest you to wait until you finish, because everything at the same time could be challenging. But of course, if the opportunity comes, you have to take it, right? And it's true that this kind of programs gives you a lot of energy. You're all day connecting ideas. Between your classmates, there's also business opportunities. You know that which company are hiring. Every year we have some classmates that they work in other companies, because through their own classmates, they were aware of the job opportunities. So there's a lot of movement. So among these, more or less, I would say almost 50% they are changing company. 37% are internal promotions. In fact, some of our Executive MBAs participants, they come with some kind of finance support from the company. So it's not even a goal for them changing companies. They're looking for an internal promotion. And 17% became entrepreneur. Again, this is something that can change from one year to another, okay? And in fact, I'm sure that the new statistics, probably there will be more movement, because of course we all know that these days there's a lot of job movements. Salary increase was around 30% increase in the national market and 52% in the international market. And an example of movement was Kelly. She was explaining so many things happening these last 2 years. And this is something that most of the students are facing, all these changes. We have career services at Esade. I always say the same. We are not a relocation company. I cannot guarantee that Esade will find you a job, but I can guarantee that they will help you to find a job. How to improve your LinkedIn profile, how to improve your CV, how to face job interviews, which is the salary that should be standard in your industry, in your country. They do bring also some headhunters that they are explaining what are the new skills that they are looking in the market. They will connect you also with some recruiters, but it's true. And here, let me be super transparent that in the MBA full time, it's like more junior profiles and more companies will come to like more job fairs because they are looking something more junior and that easier to change in executive MBA. When we are talking of people that has in average 12 years working experience, of course, the job opportunities we are looking is more niche because you don't want to get rid of those 12 years of working experience you have, right? But at least, yes, we have these career services that they will help you to find these job opportunities in the market. Next. And then admission process and financial aid. I will go super fast because I mean that's not the main purpose, and this is something that we can discuss with me at any time. I don't want Kelly experience doesn't make much sense, but in any case, just let me some few but important ideas. This is an executive MBA, an official executive MBA, so we require official university degree. Okay, so that's something important. Minimum 4 or 5 years working experience, although as I told you, average is 12. Of course, high level of business English because classes are in English if you're targeting the monthly. But even if you are targeting the bilingual, even if it only 25% will be in English, but of course we need to have very good level of English in order to understand cases and go through the electives, study tours, and so on. And then, well, regarding the admission process, it's the same in all schools, the application online, you have to provide all the documents and so on. But something important that I want to mention is that we also have a test. We accept GMAT, GRE, or executive assessment, or we have our own internal test. And here I know that you're all super busy. Some of you, last time you was at college was maybe 20 years ago, and we are not used to exams anymore. Please don't get super stressed with this kind of exams. Our main purpose is to see your level of commitment. If someone, like in my case, I studied law, I struggle with the numbers, although my dad, he's PhD in mathematics, but something happened with the DNA, totally skipped. No problem. But if we know that in advance that you're struggling with the quant part of this kind of exams, no problem. We have an online finance course. We can recommend you the finance book in advance. So main purpose of the exam is to give some more objectivity, to have more information. But of course, your professional experience will always be much more relevant. Okay, so that's my message. Next. And then regarding financial aid, the tuition fee for targeting next year is 67,500 euros. You don't pay at once. There's different installments. Very important, you have a early bird discount of 4,000 euros. If you pay the reservation fee 6 months in advance, now we have 1 year in advance, so you have plenty of time, right? And we also have a scholarship program. Scholarships on one side is why do we want to retain you? So of course, the more diversity you bring, the more we want to retain you. But this is a scholarship, so of course need is also taken into account. Maybe someone has a super strategic profile but has a high salary and the company is financing 50% and has no kids, and someone else has a more repeated profile, not so strategic, but has a lower salary, company is not giving any kind of finance support and has 2 kids. Probably we will help more the second, right? But it's a mix of both. We have up to 30% scholarships, although in average it's something around 15-20%. But in any case, if someone has any doubt, of course, we can go on one-to-one session to see each case. And of course, also we have loans with Prodigy Finance and Bank Sabadell, it's a local bank. I always recommend to check with your local bank as well, though. Next. I think, okay, yeah, I thought that was the last one. So here you have my email. I forgot to put yours, Kelly, but in any case, you can contact me and I will share Kelly's email, or if not, it was in the first slide. So, well, we tried to make it interactive. And I think it was so nice, Kelly, that you was here with me, because of course adding your personal experience adds so much value. But if there's any questions in the audience, I'm not sure where's the chat. I don't see any chat.
I don't
Maybe
see
okay,
any
Nelly, you will
questions
be
at
reading
the
the
moment.
questions if there's any. Perfect.
Yeah, I don't see any questions at the moment. Maybe because your presentation was really
Yeah.
exhaustive. Thank you for covering all these important
Okay.
points. I'm just
Perfect.
giving one more minute if anyone has any questions, and I'm going to ask Kelly a question of my own, something that I
Okay.
love asking the alumni. Kelly, what was the thing that surprised you the most during your journey doing the EMBA? Sometimes people tell me I discovered that I love accounting, or because I discovered I'm very sociable person. What was for you the thing that surprised you the most?
I think that's a really good question. That's a tough one for me. I think one of the things that actually surprised me the most about myself was, I'm from the USA, I'm from New York, and I moved over to London a number of years back. And when I put myself so I was already in a little bit of an international environment already. Not that New York isn't international, but it's nowhere near as diverse as a city like London. And when I put myself through the MBA program, what I had realized, I never felt this way about myself, but I had a lot of feedback from my classmates, and I was always asked to step up and do this, or to help them with this, was around my presentation skills and around my ability to kind of speak up and articulate thoughts and present in front of a group. And I never felt really personally confident about that or good about it. I think sometimes I talk really fast and I go on and on and on and on, and I think I have areas to improve. But a lot of my European friends from business school always wanted me to present, or me to help them learn how to present. And yes, my native language is English, so I'm lucky, and I know that, and that makes it easier. But I think it's not just about the language. I think it's about, how you articulate thoughts and how you express yourself. And people always said, oh, Americans are really good at that, and you're really good at it, and you're one of the only ones in the class. Can you help? And for me, putting myself in that environment it was a really nice compliment, because I never thought about that around myself. And it became a little more apparent, I guess, in such an international environment, that people think that of my culture and of me. And I thought that was a really nice learning. And it was a bit of a surprise, actually, because I didn't feel that way at all about myself.
This is great answer, Kelly. Thank you very much. Okay, Judith, we don't have any questions or any final words from your side.
No, I mean, first of all, please, thank you all. I know we are all very busy, so thank you for staying here. And I know some of you are based in other countries, so it's even later than here. So thank you for joining. Remember, here you have my email, judith.pujbo@esade.edu. I'm more than happy to arrange a one-to-one interview to solve specific questions from your profile. And of course, thank you, Imai, and thank you, Nelly, for organizing this and making it so smooth. So thank you, everybody, and let's hope to stay. I really hope we can stay in touch.
Great. Thank you, everyone. We wish you best of luck. Bye-bye, everyone.